Good morning. How's everyone doing? Welcome to another AppSheet Training monthly webinar. I'm joined with Cam today, and we're about to begin our 5 ways to simplify work with AppSheet. How's it going, Cam?
It's going pretty good. Excited for this webinar.
Yes, sir. So excited to have everybody joining in the chat. Want to welcome everyone that's joining our webinar today. If you want to let us know where you're joining from and then what you're building in AppSheet, we'd love to hear what you're doing with AppSheet. And me and Cam are going to talk about some of our favorite business processes to turn into AppSheet apps. So if you want to join that conversation with us as well, we'll be chatting about that for about 10 minutes just to give everybody enough time to join our webinar and hang out with us today. So Cam, what are some of your favorite business processes, to turn into AppSheet apps?
Before I answer that, let's talk about Reaper. We are here from Texas, which is also blistering hot.
Yes.
I think it's been 107 degrees on average for the past month, which is 40 degrees Celsius. And so it's also blistering hot here, and it is rough. But favorite business processes to turn into AppSheet apps. I think for me is probably inspection apps. Just because it really tackles, it really like takes advantage of references really well and is part of forms where you can have a room or a piece of equipment or a fleet vehicle that you're inspecting. As the primary
object.
Primary object, yeah. And then you have from there, you can very easily like click an action on it that is a link to a form that that automatically opens up a form for an inspection object of that vehicle object. And then from there you can like have multiple related inspection findings, whether it's like damage or like different like notes about like what you found in the inspection. And it just really takes advantage of the relational data that AppSheet creates in a really cool way. And then on top of that, it allows you to like kind of build out an app suite around an inspection app, because what do you do after you do an inspection? You get a repair person to fix it.
That's right.
And then the back offices are able to be like, okay, we have to hurry up and buy 3 more trucks. Oh, we don't want to get that truck because we can see that truck has 10 times more issues with it than this other brand of truck that we own. So let's stop buying those trucks and let's start buying these only. Because these obviously are getting a lot less damage. And so it's so cool how like just with inspection app specifically, how you can just like record one piece of data and then allow that data to automate and really make your business make intelligent. Like now you have data to make intelligent decisions, whether that's how many maintenance people do you need for your fleet, whether that's what vehicles you need to start buying, which vehicles you need to stop buying. It just allows you to record really cool data that allows you to take action on really well.
Nice. Yeah, that brings me back to the days when I was bus driving, and that was part of our routine as a bus driver. I had to fill out an inspection form every time I went and was about to load up the bus or just drive the bus off the yard, And so having an app to do that would be game changing. Just like you said, not just for the person that's having to fill out the inspection form and make sure the bus is ready to go to school, but also for the repair shop and the back office so that they can see which buses are performing well, which ones take a lot more time to maintain and whatnot. Very cool.
I imagine everybody who works here at Crew and AppSheet Training, and and then everybody inside the chat right now
Yeah.
are looking back at their old jobs and being like,
Yeah.
man, my old job would have been so much easier if I just knew AppSheet back then, was able to build an app for that.
Yes.
It's just like everybody probably has that thought of like, man, it'd be so easy to do my old job if I had AppSheet at the
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
But yeah.
Sweet. Looks like we got some more people popping in the chat. Let's talk about Reaper. Said,
Yeah, we'll cover that in the Q&A
okay,
section. Yeah.
sweet.
Cuz I think that's a good question.
Awesome. And then Abdallah said he wants to convert date in Google Sheets. So I think that's a pretty good one that we can talk about in the live Q&A as well. Sweet.
Ken P,
Ken P.
have a good day.
Yes, sir. Glad you're joining us, Ken P. Awesome.
Is that Kenny from Singapore, my old client, or
We will see. That'd be cool. Very nice. Sweet. Yeah, I would say I think my favorite app that I've built for these webinars, that's kind of the only reference I have for building AppSheet apps.
Not Singapore. Continue.
Nice. Yeah. I really enjoyed making the employee onboarding app just because it was my favorite thing about the employee onboarding app is it has a dynamic launcher or menu. So we're going to look at how to create a simple launcher to have like multiple apps, like an app suite. But the employee onboarding app uses the same kind of premise of like an app menu, but it changes based on if you've signed up as a new user or not, which that's a pretty fun feature to make in any app of having like dynamic views and stuff like that.
So I was just thinking of another one. Sorry if we were short on time.
Go for it.
But I think my favorite app to work on is this app I have for a medical missions. A Christian medical mission over in Haiti.
Yeah.
And since there's no HIPAA in Haiti and stuff like that, there's a lot of less red tape around building medical apps for Haitian patients. I think building medical apps is one of the coolest things because you get so much cool data, and there's already so much like research around the medical industry for you to build off of. And so what I mean by that is like one of the apps I'm building is essentially an app for them to do physicals for people in Haiti. And so they record stuff like weight, height, age, and the age automatically, like they put in their birthday. And it automatically calculates how many years in decimals they are and how many months total they are. How many months old they are. If they're younger than like 3 years old, we use months.
Right.
But if they're older, I mean, if they're younger than 3 years, we use months. But they're older than 3 years, we use years. But from there, we have all this past research that we're using of like, hey, what is the standard? What is the mean for height? What is the mean for weight? And how many like? And then we also have like the standard deviation for the height and the weight in different regions and stuff. And so what we can do with that data is that over time we can show really cool graphs of, okay, in 2018, the average patient was 2 standard deviations under weight. But as this medical mission has done more and more work, we can see that they're getting closer and closer to the mean of being a healthy weight.
Wow.
Like as a cohort, like the average of all the patients are like trending towards being
the standard.
Like being healthy.
Wow.
And so it's like super cool to be able to like work on something like that. But it's just super fun like working
and
with
to see
data with data that like not only like is one intuitive to work with and shows important stuff, but like two just like jumping on a project and seeing that sort of like life changing
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. That it's
Like,
like actually affecting
yeah.
people in a positive way.
Yeah.
Very cool. Sweet. Well, it looks like you got someone's attention in the chat. Let's talk about Reaper said. That's the field he's in. So
Oh, let's
sweet.
go.
Yeah. We are glad you guys are here. And it is 10 o'clock. So let's go ahead and get started with our webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and move into our agenda. So this month, we're going to be talking about, or today rather, we're going to be talking about 5 ways to simplify work. So Cam's going to walk you through those steps and how to implement some of these into AppSheet apps. He's going to demo how these concepts work in our AppSheet apps. And also, you can apply these concepts to the apps that you are working on. Also, I will say the apps that Cam's going to be working on are in the description below. So if you want to grab the app and kind of work along with him, those apps are there for you. Also, if you register for these webinars at appsheettraining.com/livestream, we'll send you the app, the quick reference guide, which I'll show you in a minute, and also our slides. So if you want access to this specific slide deck, you can get that sent straight to your inbox. It's appsheettraining.com/livestream, and you'll get access to all these webinar materials. And then finally, at the end, we'll have time to answer your live Q&A. So all the questions that you have as we're going through this content, make sure to throw it in the chat, and then we'll come around to that at our live Q&A session. All right, so by the end of this webinar, you will learn the 5 ways that AppSheet can help you simplify your workflows. So Cam's going to talk about a lot of those concepts today, and I'll let him get into what those core concepts are. So if you're looking for innovative ways to simplify your workflows at work, this is a webinar for you, and we'll be going through each of those concepts as we go into our content. Before we go any further, I want to take a minute to thank our channel sponsor and our video sponsor, Forms to Docs. They are a rules-based document creation platform. They're going to capture all the information electronically in robust forms that will automatically generate PDF and Word documents based on this information. So kind of like your templates in AppSheet, but these are going to be more tailored custom templates by Forms to Docs. You can store, edit, copy, and share these documents. Plus, you get unlimited user licensing, so you're not tied to a certain amount of users, but you get as many users as you need. It's risk-free. You get a free custom demo using your own data. They're going to set up the first template for you for free. 90 days, no questions asked, guaranteed. This is Forms to Docs, a product of Paperwork Pros. If you want to learn more, their link is in the description below. Helps out our channel. And of course, we want to help out Forms to Docs, a product of Paperwork Pros. They are friends and just another great company like AppSheet Training and Crew Technologies. So definitely want to support them. If you have a need to use their services, feel free to reach out to them. All right. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Cam. Let's see. I think you're on mute, Cam.
Yeah, I was
there. You go.
Turning off my microphone for your spiel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today for our video, we're gonna have a demo that has 5 parts. It's 5 ways to simplify work with AppSheet, and number 1 is create an app suite. I think just scrolling up just a little bit. Ken P said must learn launcher.
Yeah.
So number 1 is an app launcher.
There we go.
And the reason why this is pro tip number 1 is the reason why is you want to create a master app that has links to all other apps. The reason why this helps is it keeps your employees from being overwhelmed with all these app features that aren't relevant to what they're doing. And so, like we were talking about earlier, an inspection app, we could have a fleet management app that has inspections, that has the features for the person to do maintenance, the features that runs analytics on it and stuff like that. But those are really 3 different types of users that use the app for 3 different reasons. Like the people inspecting it likely aren't the maintenance people, and the people that are reviewing the data to see what vehicle they should buy next aren't the people who are fixing the things in the trucks. And
Yeah.
so you get faced where you're not optimizing the app's user experience for any of those three workflows just because you're trying to combine them all into one. But what you could do instead is you could have an app launcher like we have on the right side right here
Mhm.
that has a link to a fleet inspection app, that has a link to a fleet maintenance app, and then a link for fleet analytics. And you have one app that links you to all three of the different apps. That way, the people who are actually doing the maintenance can click on that app and have a user experience that's curated for maintenance, instead of having to dodge all the analytics stuff and all the inspection stuff. So it allows you to simplify your work using AppSheet. And so let's go and see an example and have a quick overview on how that is actually performed within AppSheet. So right here is a pretty simplified version of it. We have a gallery view. So a gallery view displays records from a table. And right here, we have one record, which is the analytics. It takes you to the analytics app, a project management app, and we actually have images for each one. And so if we were to go ahead and click the punch list, we can see that it's taking us to a separate app right here. It's syncing the app. That's because it's taking us to a new app. And so we start off in that launcher app, and it links us very seamlessly into the next app. And so you can also click right here in the hamburger menu and click these little 4 squares, and it'll take you back to the app you came from, which is the launcher app. So the way that you would actually perform this within AppSheet is you would have a table. We call it launcher. We'll call it something else. We can call it view gallery. We can call it app suite. We can call it whatever you want.
Mhm.
But this is what the schema looks like. We have an ID and then a display name. So the display name right here is the name of the app that we want to display the name to be labeled as. And so that is visible right over here. And then next we have an image. So these can be icons that you have for each of the apps. And then right here last, we have the ID of the app. And so this is the address that we want to send the launcher to. So it's going to take us from one app to the other app. And so the way that you find what your ID is for your app is you go to the app, and my screen's pretty small right now for you likely. But what you want to do is I'll just say it out loud. That way you don't have to depend on being able to read my screen. But in the URL, you want to go all the way until you see $app name equals. After that, you'll have the name of your app followed by your user, your AppSheet user's ID of the person who created it. This will look like the name of the app and then a dash and then a 7-digit number, I believe.
Mhm.
And then it ends at an ampersand. And so you want to copy all that information, and then you want to paste it within the cell for that column for the app link. And what you do whenever you do that, and you go to the data on the columns on AppSheet, if you set the app link to an app, what AppSheet will do automatically is it will say, okay, this app right here, or this column of data is a column of different apps addresses. And what's going to do is it's going to automatically create a behavior that links on click to a different app. And so it will create this behavior right here, this action that is a link to app. And then it's populated with the app address right here. And so what we can do with that is one more step. We can go to the view for the launcher. And then under behavior, we can make it whenever somebody clicks a gallery item, instead of taking them to the detail view of that record, we can instead change it to run that action. And so now what this is doing is it's taking, when I click on project management, it goes into the data and says, I need to run the action for AppLink. AppLink, what it does is it does link to app, and then it says, okay, what app do we want to go to? So it checks AppLink for the address of the app. So it goes to project management record, and then it goes to here, and then populates the link to form with this project management address.
Nice.
And then it sends the user to that address. And so it's super useful. It allows you to kind of combine all these apps into one. It's useful for if you have different users using different apps, but it's also useful if you just have 15 apps. You don't want 15 apps on your home screen. You want one app, and when they click that one app, they see the apps that are appropriate for them. You can really push this like further by using security filters, because maybe you want to hide analytics apps from non-admins. Or maybe you have a billing app and you only want HR to see the billing app. Or you have time card apps that track the time that you spend on a project. People in, let's say, marketing don't need to see the developer apps. So there's plenty of use cases that you can like limit and curate the list of apps for specific users. And so you do that in conjunction with a users table. But yeah, let's go on and move to number 2.
Very nice.
All right. Make filling out forms faster. Take advantage of initial values, app formulas, and link to forms to make form entry hassle-free. And so it's like you take a huge step in user experience when you go from a paper form that you have to print out, fill out, scratch out mistakes, file it, and then if somebody asks for that information, you have to dig into that filing cabinet, find it, and re-grab it. You take, whenever you convert all that into an AppSheet app, you improve the user experience by 1,000,000 times over the original paper form. But you don't have to stop there. You can make it where things are easier to fill out. So you can take the sum of all the line items. So let's say you're quoting out a project for a remodeling business, and you quote out how much it will take to tear out the drywall, how much it will take to put new drywall up, how much it will take to putty the wall, how much it is to paint. And then you have all these line items that have their own individual values. You can sum those all together. Whereas if you were doing a paper form, you would just have a little section on the right side where you're doing math. But with AppSheet, you can use app formulas to calculate the sum of all of those line items. You don't have to just say, okay, we have this paper form and we digitized it. No, we took this paper form, we digitized it, then we automated it. We improved the user experience that was already improved 1,000 times. And so you can do this in a whole lot of different ways. One way is that we do it in here on this app right here, the punch list, which we'll actually be doing this feature in the demo. And so right here, we have a clipboard for a project. And when you click that right there, what it does is it takes you to the form to create a punch list for that project. But 2, what it does is it starts setting initial values of specific fields. So when I click, let me discard that real quick. When I click building remodel and I click this punch list, we can see that automatically filled in building remodel. And then also it assigned it to somebody. What's clever about this is that it has actually assigned it to the person who is in charge of that project. And so what this does is if you're filling out a paper form or even doing AppSheet and you didn't have this automated, you would have to click into here and then you would have to try to recall in your brain who was the project manager of that project. But whenever you have this auto filling, it allows you not to have to know who the project manager of every single project is as you're doing a punch list for it. And so it just takes out one quick step that makes just form entry that much better.
Very nice.
Let's go on to number 3. All right. Create scheduled automations. Recognize repetitive workflows throughout your workday and see if you can turn these into AppSheet automations. So a lot of times we'll have clients who have this nice, fancy, digitized app, and they'll be amazed by it and they'll love it, and they'll express to us something that they do each day or each week or each month, and we're like, hey, we can literally just take that hour that you spend a day or that hour you spend a week or a month and make it just run automatically, where you don't have to even think about or put down your calendar to do that each month. And so an example of that is for this time card app. What we have it doing is every single week, we go to the automations and then go to weekly payroll. Every single week, it runs a scheduled scheduled bot. Scheduled bots run off of a schedule, and we'll see that the schedule for this one is every single Friday at 6 p.m. It runs a weekly email. That weekly email sends to the employees whose their admin equals true. So it sends to all the admins, and what it actually sends them is a payroll email. And so if we go back to this slide right here, we can see this document that it generates. It gives a list of employees, and then inside the employees, it gives them their time cards. So within their time cards, it will show them all the times they've clocked in and clocked out, how much those are, and then it will also show their time sheets where it says this is their total sum of hours, this is their hourly rate, and this is how much they're getting paid for that sum of hours. And so what this does is it allows you to run payroll a lot easier because you don't have to do all the math and go to each employee, see how much they worked each month, and then enter that in. One cool thing you could do with this also is you could connect it to something like Zapier or Integromat or Pipedream,
Yes.
which Stefan, our boss, has been a huge fan of lately.
Yes.
Pipedream.
It is
It's
awesome.
another webhooks platform, and you could connect it to Gusto or whatever program you use for payroll. If you use something like that, and then what you can do is you can make it automatically send from your app how much that person needs to get paid that month, and then automatically send it over to Gusto, where you fully automated the whole payroll system.
Yeah.
And you've taken almost like a lot of companies have a whole entire employee that just runs payroll.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the HR people in the chat, but if your job is just running payroll, then or if you have an employee that just runs payroll, it's like a lot of that can be automated with maybe like 15 hours of AppSheet development, 10 hours of AppSheet development.
Yeah.
And like just AppSheet alone can save you 60 grand or 40 grand or whatever you're paying a HR person, 100 grand.
Or they can devote their time to other things that they love doing.
Other things that like they've actually gotten their master degrees in and stuff. And so it's super cool how like valuable AppSheet can be. A lot of people will comment under some of our videos about like the pricing and stuff and be like, oh, I can't afford this licensing, this pay per user. It's like, man, if you're really smart with how you're using AppSheet and you understand like the AppSheet can save you a lot of money, that licensing is very minimal. Um, if
Yeah.
you have processes like this that are that expensive.
Right.
Um, so yeah, let's go ahead to number 4. Paginate long forms. All right. So everybody's had that form that you filled out, whether it's something for work or something for your personal life, um, where you pick up a form and you're like, I'm gonna get started on this, and you're 15 minutes into the form and you realize, man, I've been doing this form for a long time. You start scrolling through it and you're like, I'm gonna be on this form for another hour.
Yeah.
This thing is a lot longer than I expected. And so where pagination comes in is, first let's explain what pagination is. Pagination is right here what we see on the right side, where you have a longer form that's split up into multiple sections. What this does is it kind of gives checkpoints to the users. It allows them to get that like little hit of dopamine whenever they hit next. It makes them feel like they've completed something, and it
Yeah.
kind of
It helps
chops down
with
a longer
yeah.
form into bite-sized pieces. What do you
Yeah.
say?
I was just gonna say it helps with that cognitive load. I
Mm-hmm.
know our director of training operations, Deanna, she talks a lot about that. That's kind of why our courses are built the way they are, um, just to help with breaking up all the information for the user.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's just like, especially if you have a long form that is part of your job and you have to fill it out 30 times a day,
Hmm.
that can really like hurt your perspective of work.
Yeah.
And you don't want to build apps that make your day stressful or that make a process of your workday something that you don't look forward to. And
Hmm.
so doing something like pagination really helps you kind of take off that cognitive load of like just having a little bit less on your mind while you're filling out a form. It allows you to
Hmm.
kind of segment the things that you're thinking about at a time. All
For
right.
sure.
Pro tip number 5: reconsider what tasks can be made into an app. AppSheet is an extremely powerful tool for your business that can simplify and automate more workflows than you would initially prescribe it to do. What we mean by this is a lot of times we'll have a client that comes to us and says, hey, we want this one app made. And then as we have this business relationship with them and we're building this app, we talk about real life things. They talk about how this one part of their job is really stressful.
Hmm.
Um, or they talk about how much time they spent today on this one workflow.
Yeah.
And we tell them, honestly, that's like a 10 minutes of development to save you 2 hours a day.
Hmm.
And their mind is just opened
Yeah.
on like what AppSheet can actually do for their business.
Hmm.
And they, it's just because like you come into an AppSheet project of like, what is almost like the bare minimum of what I can do with this tool.
Hmm.
But then as you explore the tool, even if you're not the one developing, even if you're just the person paying a developer, you begin to learn more about what AppSheet can do.
Hmm.
And you realize it really can innovate your entire business. I
Yeah.
think here at Crew Technologies, we have, I think, like 5 different apps that we use on a daily basis. Um, whether that's us keeping track of projects, Stefan doing billing, or if it's um, Austin planning marketing content, or
Yeah.
if it's the way that we keep track of tasks. And as developers, we have a developer thing where we keep tasks, um, where we are able to see all of our Trello cards from separate boards all on one view to see that we're not behind on any due dates or that there's any due dates coming up and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so it's like as you use AppSheet and you get more familiar what it's capable of doing, you really begin to like find more ways to use it to save time.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we have a demo. Um,
Let's go.
doing some of these things for you. So, this demo derives from the punch list app, and so if you want to follow along, the closest thing that you have to my starting point is the punch list app. So the first thing that we're going to be working on is paginating the punch list form. So right here, I have the punch list app, and I've simplified it a little bit. So you can see that clipboard button that we clicked earlier is no longer there. And there's a few things missing. So the first thing we want to do is paginate the form. And so whenever we go to punch list and go here, go into one of these and hit edit, we can see that this form is just longer than we like. There's a few different things that are kind of just like changes the pace. It's like you're not thinking about this stuff while you're doing this stuff. And so you might as well segment that away from it. And so what we can do is we can paginate. And so if we go over into the punch list data and then go to view source, we can see that I actually removed, we usually have show columns statically inside of here, but I wanted to show you guys a little tip.
Yeah.
So let's say you didn't plan the schema to have pagination. And so there's no column inside of here set to be a show column. What we want to do is create virtual show columns. And so we want to split this up into 3 different ones. I'm going to cheat and see what we named them in the other one. So
Nice.
What did we name it? We named it project, details, and record or record. I don't know. Okay, so inside the punch list data, we want to go to columns, and then we want to create actually 3 different virtual columns. So we're going to call this page, and then let's call it, what was it?
Project.
That was the first one?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so inside of here, it just needs some text. And so we're just going to go ahead and type in a null text value, just like that, and hit save. And then if we go ahead in here and change this to a show column, we can change the category to a page header, and then we can change the content to, you said it was project?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the other 2?
Yeah.
I know the last one's record.
Yes. The next one is details.
Okay. So then we're going to add another one, and we'll call this one page details. We're going to go ahead and go here, do a null string. And then for where's the data type? Did it go away?
I don't know. I don't see it there either. Maybe
I'm gonna delete that one.
Yeah.
That was weird. Why was there no data type on that that virtual column?
It's testing
that is
you.
So weird. Okay. Might not do it. Might just do it again. Save. Yeah, still no data type. So I'm just gonna hit done on that one, and then I'm gonna change it down here to show. And then under show, I'm going to now change it to page header. Content is going to be details. That's it done. Let's go ahead and create another one. This one will be page record. Right here, we are going to type in just a null string again. And then we're going to hit done. We're going to change that to show.
So, Cam, can you explain why you're adding the null string in the formula?
Yeah. For some reason, so app formulas, virtual columns require an app formula.
Okay.
Because virtual columns are calculations that get ran every single time the app has a change.
Yeah.
And so it needs some sort of thing to calculate. And if you don't have anything in the app formula, it will say there's no app formula for this virtual column, which the virtual column is really just an at formula. And so what we're doing is we're just satisfying the need of having an at formula by having a null string inside of it.
Right.
And so it's just checking the box essentially.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any use other than allowing this feature to be a thing.
Yeah. And then so that way you can add in those virtual show columns.
Because otherwise it wouldn't allow me to have that
that
virtual
data
column
type
there. Yeah. So did I change the page header? So all right.
And which ones do you like better? Do you like page headers?
Section header. Sorry, it should be section header. I don't know why I've been choosing page header.
Yeah. I go back and forth with whether I like page headers or section headers better. Which ones do you prefer?
I don't think I have an opinion.
Okay.
Okay. So now that we have those three,
yeah.
If we go into the punch list form, we can now add those in. So if we go to page, and page, we have those three added. And then we can also scroll up here to the page style, and it's set to tabs. So we can have different things right here. Let's set it to tabs because that will actually display the name. And so now what we can do is we can move these around, like right there. We can see where the old ones were, and so we'll just kind of place them where those are. And then page details, I believe, is right here. All right. So now if we go ahead and save the app, a lot of that stuff wasn't running yet. I set it to section headers. I'm dumb. It's page headers. Page headers allow you to do pagination. Section headers just put a little text, like a bold text.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, somebody, one of our other developers is like page headers. I think it's probably Clark.
Nice.
I just had a brain slip. And so if I go to view columns and change all this as page headers like I had originally, I don't know what I was thinking in my brain.
Yeah.
My brain is.
I think I actually like just the bold text right now, but I guess it just depends on what kind of form I'm building. I think each form that I do, I have like a different perspective on.
I think it would be useful to maybe have section headers for pages.
Yeah.
And then also you can break down a page into sub pages, like subsections.
Yeah. Get real fancy.
Section headers. Yeah. So yeah, that's pagination. Now, whenever they go through the form, they actually fill in this stuff, and then they hit next, and then they're on the next page.
Nice.
And it kind of segments into different categories of things that they need to focus on. So this is great. Use this on your app and allow this to kind of simplify your workflow. Next is we want to do a link to form that will take them from the deck view of the projects into the punch list form. And when we do that, we want to also set the project ID and the assign to inside that form. So let's see how that's done. All right. I'm on the wrong one. There we go. That's right view. So if I go to behavior, I can go ahead and add a new action. This action is going to happen on the projects because this is whenever you choose a table for the action, you're thinking, where do I want this button to start from? It doesn't matter what view you're going to. It's where you're what is the data type of the view that I'm going to be clicking this action on.
Yeah, like what context
projects.
you want to be in. Yeah.
And so we'll say start punch list.
Could you zoom in just a little bit?
I can zoom in a lot bit.
Nice. Yeah, I know for the actions, it's always a little bit helpful to get the zoom.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to go to another view within this app. And we want to choose the target app. And so if we go into the views right here, we can do a link to form. What link form does is allow you to put in the name of a form, which in this situation will be punch list form right there. So this is AppSheet toolbox on the right side. Get it on the Chrome extension store. It's amazing.
Yep. Free to use.
Mm-hmm. Love snippets section. Yep. It is great. And so now we have the name of the form view right here. And then we want to follow that up by the name of the column that we want to set the initial value of. And so if we go to schema and then open up the accordion for the punch list schema, we can go ahead and add in, let's add quotation marks real quick. Then we want to do the project ID. So we're setting the project ID to the ID of the project we're clicking this in. So we're going to be on the project view, and we're going to have an action button that when you click it, it's going to set the project ID with the ID of the project we're clicking it from. And so what we want to do is use this row. We have more information about this row in our expression mastery boot camps, our courses. And so if you want to learn more about that, that's a great way to do it. And if not, there's probably a few different resources around YouTube that could teach you about this a little bit more.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're filling in the project ID with the ID of this row. I typed in this user. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I hit enter on this user.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're filling it in with the ID of this row. And then also what we want to do is we want to fill in the assign to using the project manager of that row. And so if we go to punch list and do assign to, we want to set the assign to as the one, this row, because we want it to be from the context of the project that we're clicking it from. And then we want to go to the projects, and we can see that the project manager is right here. And so we want to go ahead and put some brackets because we're doing dynamic data. Project manager right there. Then we want to close off the parentheses. I know that parentheses is hidden right there, so we'll get rid of that hidden one. All right. So to kind of overview what this is doing, let's say we click this action on remodeling project where Austin Skidmore is the project manager. And so what this specific expression is doing is, in this instance, is it's taking them to the link to form view, and it's going to set the initial value of project ID to be the remodeling project. And then it's going to set the assign to the project manager of that specific project, which is Austin Skidmore. And so it's going to have those two automatically filled in. When using the expression, is this row necessary or is it assumed? It's you're right. It's actually you're actually already in context because we're not doing a select expression or a query that's taking us out of context. And so yeah, this is actually totally fine because it's actually a pretty good catch.
Nice.
And so we're already in context of the project, and we're not doing anything like a select or an expression that takes us out of context of that project. And so something like this is actually just manageable without using this row. That's a good call.
Very nice.
And so we'll go ahead and hit save. And we'll hit save right here as well.
Nice. Then
Let's
we'll
go
have
ahead and set the appearance to a clipboard. Let's go to this this view right here. Let's go to the actions and let's do start punch list. We'll see that clipboard is now there. We'll give this app a quick sync. And then right here, we have the clipboard. If we go ahead and click it, we can see that it auto-filled building remodel with the project manager of that project, Clark James.
very nice.
Very cool. Can folks share their best training, either tutorials, one-on-one, etc., sources they've used? Yeah, if you guys want to share that with each other, go for it. I know that there's a friend of AppSheet training named Jake Nod on the AppSheet community, and he about a year ago posted a really long thread about all of
Yes.
his favorite learning
Mhm.
resources. It covers
Yeah.
stuff like content that we've created, content that Multitech Visions has created.
Mhm.
It references a few different threads that he found useful.
Yeah.
It's a super great resource, and we appreciate his nod to us. Nod,
Yeah.
Jake nod. We appreciate his opinions and
Yeah.
what he said was useful. He
Yes.
went from not knowing anything about AppSheet
Mhm.
to becoming a really core person of the AppSheet community over the course of like 2.5 years, and
Yeah.
learned a whole lot and really documented a lot of his learning process. So
Yeah.
straight up, we'll say AppSheet training videos. They're great.
Yeah.
We recommend that, but also we have a lot of friends in the AppSheet community that are great resources of information. So
Yes.
just AppSheet community has so much to learn from.
Mhm.
All right. So we have that link to form action. So that's one way that we've simplified the workflow. And then last, we want to send an email to the user who has this task. Send an email to the user who has this task, who this task has been assigned to. I did not type that right. But yes. So what we want to do is create a bot.
Mhm.
That bot is going to be called new punch list.
Also, just a little, I guess this is a little extra pro tip. If you copy a bot, make sure you're aligning all of your processes, events, and tasks to the same table, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times it won't if you change the, what is the first one called? The event. It won't change the process. And so you try running your bot and you need to go and check your process. And it's usually only when you copy automations.
Yeah. Yeah, before I switch to the next tip, before I continue this tip, I'll answer Reaper's question. When using linked form, can you ensure that the data is pushed, is not changeable by the user?
Mm.
One cool thing you can do is you can have a form that is maybe like fully manual, where the user is actually selecting all that stuff manually. But what you could also do is you could have a link to form for that, and you can have a separate form that is curated for that automated process. And maybe what you want to do is have a show column that's just text saying this is the project. This
Mhm.
is the where it just shows the project, and it just shows um the assigned to, instead of giving a drop down. And so what you can do is you can create separate columns that it shows those columns instead of showing the column with the actual drop downs, the actual ref column. So it show columns. And so you can have two different forms that are intended for manual and one intended for that link to form, where that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you know, learning how to think outside the box with the different features of AppSheet. Yeah. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
as you start growing and your AppSheet knowledge, you just start thinking creatively. I'm like, oh, I could actually do this, and I
Mm-hmm.
can use this concept to help me build out this way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think this form or one of the forms uses like app formulas
Mm-hmm.
and link to forms, so you could also do it that way. That way they can't
Mm-hmm.
fill in. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, what you can do, Reaper, is you can actually go into the data. So you would still need two different forms. So you need an automated form and a manual form if
Mm-hmm.
you want to allow them to still do it the manual way. But you would go to view columns, and then you would go into the column that you're setting. Let's say it's project ID. And you could go down here to editable and click expand. And then you can add a formula to editable. And you can say, I don't want this to be editable if it's on this specific form. So you could say context.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, you could do context, view, the view or view name. I think it's just view. Might be view name.
Or view type.
View type is like form deck.
Okay.
I think it's context
Oh,
view.
okay. Okay.
Where context view does not equal auto form name. And
Oh, like
so
yeah.
this would be true on the view that's named manual form name,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be false and not be editable on the auto form name.
Right.
And so yeah, you could do something like that, and that would be great.
Very nice.
Where you wouldn't have to have those additional show columns, but you would have those drop downs that just aren't editable.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. The next thing I was going to work on was that bot. And so we want to have that bot trigger. Thought I already typed it. Did I not type it already?
I don't know.
New bot. We'll call this new punch list. I typed it. I remember saying new punch list.
Yeah.
All right. Create custom bot. We want this to. Why is this still there? Let's new punch list. Configure event. The event is going to be new record. And we want this to be on a data change, and we only want it to happen whenever there's an add to the punch list table. So it runs on the punch list table, and it only runs whenever a new one has been added. The condition is just going to be true. We want it to run every single time there's a punch list. We want to, bypass security filters, appearance. We don't need a icon. I'll just do a lightning bolt. That's fun.
Nice.
And then we want to add a step. And the step is going to be email PM project manager. Create step. Let's edit that step. It's going to send an email. And we'll just do the embedded app view. And the 2 is going to be to the. So with the punch list, we want to do the assign to. And assign to is a reference of the user table, and the ID of the user table is their email. Mm-hmm. And so all we have to do is this. However, if you did not have your user table set up where the ID was the email, you would have to do something like this. You have to reference the email of the assign to. But that's not necessary because the ID is already the email. So we'll go ahead and hit save. Right here, you will do the email subject, and you can put in dynamic information right here. So like right here, we have app name, but you can put in the information of the actual punch list that we're creating. So let's create a little fun subject and body real quick. Mm-hmm. So we'll say new punch list has been signed. All right. And then the body will say hello. And then inside of the carets, we're going to put in some dynamic information and say hello. We'll do the assigned to. And then from the assigned to, we want to grab their first name. So if we go to the user, we can grab their first name right there. So it'll say, hello, Clark. Hello, Austin. Let's do a comma. You have been assigned a new punch list on the, and then on the punch list view, we want to add in the name of the project. And so we can find in the punch list the project ID. This is just going to return the 8-digit ID of, oh, I didn't copy it. This right here, if we didn't dereference another column, would just return the ID, the 8-digit string of random numbers and the random characters. But we want to actually dereference from there in the projects table, the project name. So let's copy that. And let's put in here. So, hello, Clark. You have been assigned a new punch list on the remodeling or home remodeling project. And then hit period. And then you could do like a URL. So you could like do something fun like,
I think the way you set it up is that it's going to send them that app view, so they'll have access to.
Yeah. And so like take them to the app view. Yeah. But you could do some cool stuff of like, if I want to take them specifically to the punch list of that one item, you could look at this right here and you can see that the URL actually is the thing in charge of what is showing on the screen. So like you see different things in the URL. You can't see it because I have a 5K screen. And so the URL is tiny for you guys.
Yeah.
But you can see stuff like right here. It says row equals and then has the row ID. And so we could copy this whole link into here and say go to app and then do a line break and paste. And then paste that link. And then all we have to do is take that row equals, which is, it's Control F, row. So row equals, then all we have to do is take that right there and put ID. And so then we have a URL that'll take them from this email. They'll have a URL that they can click, and it will take them straight to this view with it setting it to the punch list dynamically.
Wow, that's very
super cool. Yeah. And you could do other things to extend this. You could do a filtered view that has if it's like a deck view or table view, you could filter it further by using the filter and conditions in the URL. URLs have a whole lot of really cool conditions that you can work with.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we have an email that automatically sends to the user each time a new punch list gets created. And so we can go ahead and hit save on that. And yeah, it's just saying that this is not a deployed app and it can only send to the app owner at this time. And so it would not send to Clark's email. It would instead send to the owner of the app's email, which is me. But yes, that is the end of the demo. And we'll cover a few questions. Do we have enough time for any questions?
Yeah, we probably have enough time for like, I would say two questions. So
you want to find questions for me?
Yeah. Let's see what we got here.
We have some at the beginning that we
that were pretty
mentioned
good.
us wanting to cover.
Okay. let's do. There's one that says before I forget. So this is from Let's Talk About Reaper. Um, how to have AppSheet create a Google Sheet and not, I guess, like an Excel file,
Hmm.
and only be accessible to internal users. Maybe need to use AppScript to convert, or can it be done natively?
Um, I assume this is using the feature where it exports data
Yeah.
um, from a view.
Hmm.
I actually have not used that feature very much.
Hmm.
So I'm not really familiar with the different options that you have available with the formats you have to choose between.
Yeah.
Let me new action. Um,
Yeah. The I know the action only allows you to download it as a Excel file.
mhm.
Um, I'm wondering if it may be possible with automations, somehow to save it to your Google Drive as a.
Is it using this right here?
Is that, yeah?
It
Is
says
that
export
download?
view to a
Yeah.
CSV file.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I imagine you could pretty easily. Um, Man, I'm thinking. I do think AppScript would be the best way to do this. I think that
Yeah.
Clark is in the chat. If
Hmm.
I'm right on guessing who that is, he's
Yeah.
been replying to comments.
Yeah.
Um, he might have worked with this a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but I imagine you could just do an app script that creates a new Google Sheet based off that CSV or that Excel file. Oh, this is Stefan. Stefan, do you have any input? We'll move on to the next
Yeah.
question, and if Stefan has any input, he can
Cool.
slap that in. He is a app script pro,
Yes.
literally
Um,
a Google Cloud um,
yes. Architect.
architect
I get to
certified.
this one too. I thought this was a good question. If an app has changed names a handful of times during development, how do you go about changing the folder name from the original name without breaking things? Is there a simple way to do that, or is it just a matter of going back through and renaming?
Yeah. I know that there's like a root folder
Hmm.
for an app, and I think that is based off of the app ID, which does not change whenever there is a um, change of the name. So the
Yeah.
app ID will stay the same. So if I have Cam's copy punch list app dash 672988, if I change the name to Austin's copy, the address is still going to stay the same. It's like an ID,
Right.
a key for the app. And inside of the root folder that it creates in your Google Drive, let's say,
Hmm.
it's going to be labeled with the app addresses, um, name dash ID. And so that should not change. However, if you are wanting to reroute the folders um, inside of a bot, you can manually choose the pathing hierarchy for that. So you path from the root folder
Yeah.
backwards and forwards until you get to the folder that you want to set it to. So maybe you have inside of your root folder, you have a documents or weekly payroll folder,
Hmm.
and you want to path from that root manually into that weekly payroll. But it
Hmm.
shouldn't change um, the folder name whenever you change the name without things breaking,
Sweet.
I
Um,
believe.
nice. All right, and then let's do one more. This is from Abdallah. He wants to know how to convert the date in AppSheet from English to Arabic. Is that possible? What are your?
um, that is not something I've had to do before.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I know Clark
I
has worked
apologize.
on language.
Well, I've done
Like,
language.
uh-huh.
Um, hmm.
In general, how would you go about doing translating
Um,
to different
what you
languages?
could do
Mhm.
is you could have a man. This feels like. I mean, let me check something real quick. Um, info. Where's that information? The localized stuff
in user settings,
in user settings.
or what is it called? In
It's not info, right? No.
actually, I think it's UX
UX. Yes, localize.
options. Yeah.
There's no like date formatting or anything.
Hmm.
Um, man, I hate giving this answer,
Yeah.
but I guess what you could do is you could have a column that is a date column and a date column inside of AppSheet,
Hmm.
and it is English. And then inside of the, oh, this is specifically in AppSheet. Okay. Okay, so in AppSheet, not okay. I think you can just do it like this. So is there a date column in here?
Um,
Does punch list have a date?
Possibly we might have a created date.
All right, I'm just gonna break it for a second.
Yeah.
Change this to a date, and then hit the edit pencil. And is there? I feel like there. I mean, there definitely is a way.
Hmm.
I
To
feel like it
just
would be
change the
right there.
language settings. Sweet.
Okay, I think Stefan put in the answer.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Let me scroll to the bottom.
I don't have to do that very often. Which, like, I
Okay.
mean,
That's pretty. Okay. So here's the answer to that one. So you
yeah,
just type out this expression. Very nice. Thank you, Stefan. Saving
pretty
the
sweet.
day. All right. Well, I think that covers our live Q&A. Thank you guys for joining and asking some great questions. If we didn't get to your question, um, we will have another webinar where Cam will be joining, but also we have free tech talks. So if you sign up for a tech talk, you can get all these questions answered. You can meet with Cale Neff, and he may not be able to answer your question specifically right on the call, but he can go back in and talk with our developers and then get those questions answered for you on a follow-up email and whatnot. So thank you guys again for joining our webinar. Let's do a little bit of a review. So Cam went over the 5 ways to simplify work, and then he did a demo on how to create these features inside of AppSheet, and we had time for live Q&A. And I really appreciate you guys asking those questions and kind of testing our knowledge. It was fun to see all the engagement and all the chat that you guys were putting in today. All right. So for those of you that are interested in learning more, Cam went over a lot of concepts today. If you want to learn more, go ahead and throw in the chat. Yes, I would like to learn more. And I can talk to you a little bit more about what we offer at AppSheet Training and how we can help you grow in your AppSheet knowledge. So I'll give you a few minutes to kind of throw in the chat. Yes, I would love to learn more. And then I will continue. So we'll be here for just a couple more minutes. And if you're interested in learning more, make sure to throw that in the chat. I'm excited to talk to y'all more about what AppSheet Training offers and what we can help y'all do inside of AppSheet. Awesome. So Reaver said he's already interested in or thinking about what he can talk about in the tech talks. So he is ready to learn some more. Very cool. All right. Well, let's get started with this because I know we've gone over a little bit. So I want to honor you guys' time. So in order to get started with AppSheet training, we've actually grown to over 5,000 subscribers. Woo! So if you want to celebrate with us in the chat, we have over 5,000 people signed up at appsheettraining.com on our community tier. And I'll talk to you about the different tiers in just a minute. What AppSheet training allows you to do is
Users.
to explore all of the different features of AppSheet, as well as learn more about the specific tools that we have to offer. So like the AppSheet toolbox that you saw Cam demo today. And then we have a plethora of training content that you can work through as well. And then we have specific learning paths for you. So that way you can go through these different courses and get the answers to the concepts that you're wanting to learn inside of AppSheet. So our first tier, like I mentioned, we have 5,000 people signed up for our community subscription. So this is free for anybody to use and access. You get access to that AppSheet toolbox, our webinars, blogs and articles, and AppSheet IQ. So it's free to sign up. Go ahead and head over to appsheettraining.com to get access to our content. And then next tier is we have our professional subscription. This is going to give you everything that we offer in community, plus all of our courses. So this is an immersive learning environment. You get access to boot camps. These are all on-demand courses filled with PDF files, so you can quickly view expressions or different steps inside of building out different apps. You can also you will also get access to new courses every month and an AppSheet certification plus 15% off consulting. And if you sign up today, you get a 7-day free trial. So you can kind of demo and see which courses are a best fit for you and see if this is geared towards your learning style. So that's our professional subscription. What you're going to get in that professional subscription is access to all these courses plus more added every month. So this isn't even a full list of the courses because we've been releasing more courses, and I'll show you the new one that we've just added. But this total value is over $1,000. But we're going to show you guys what the actual price is in just a moment. We also offer that certification, and it's about 90 minutes in length. You can export this to LinkedIn. 80% is passing, and you can become a leader in business automation. And we'll value this one at around $39. If you want to sign up to meet with one of our AppSheet consultants like Cam, this is a great way to get expert reference, build out advanced features, or design and build a full AppSheet app with one of our consultants. These are one-on-one sessions, about an hour long, and you can build an app with a professional AppSheet developer. Here's our new course, Automations in AppSheet. So you saw Cam kind of go through a quick demo of what it's like to build an automation in AppSheet. This course is a deep dive on how to learn and build automations inside of AppSheet. And this course was designed and built by professional AppSheet developers. So they're spending lots of time building out these automations and templates for clients. And so these are best practices that we would recommend you learn in order to build out your own automations. You're going to get 4 learning modules, a custom app template, customized Google Doc template, labs, PDF downloads, and so much more. And this one's valued again at $79. Ed Constantine is one of our AppSheet training subscribers. He's also purchased consulting from us, and he's working with one of our consultants and developers, Craig. And he said he's scheduled these 2-hour coaching sessions, and it has helped him out a ton. And he's gotten to work on things that he needed help with. And the best part about this is he says this model fits his mode of learning perfectly, and he's making great progress. So that's from Ed Constantine. He's the president of Value Factor Inc. So really cool to see that. So let's kind of recap. Everything that we mentioned in the professional subscription is valued at over $1,000. But for you guys, we have set up our monthly subscriptions. So you're only have to pay that $39 a month, and you can get access to all of our courses, everything in community. It's a full immersive learning experience. So you're not only just getting video content, but you're also getting those PDFs and handouts and labs to really help you generalize your AppSheet skills and build on your own, not just watch a video and try to build it on your own, but actually get that practical experience to really take your app development skills to the next level. Again, you can go over to appsheettraining.com and get started for $39 a month. And it's a 7-day free trial, so you don't have anything to lose and a lot to gain. So if you want to schedule a tech talk with us, that link is in the description below. You can meet with Kale and ask him your questions about what you're wanting to build inside of AppSheet. He will get those questions answered for you and help you understand how we can best help you move your projects forward and just get more help on learning AppSheet. Also want to ask you guys to save the date for August 5th. We're going to release a new course And so if you want to get registered for that, we'll have that registration open, I believe, tomorrow. And that's over at appsheettraining.com/live stream. You can register for it, get all the content and materials just like we have for our monthly webinars. You'll be able to access all the materials for the special event coming up. So I do have time for a few more questions. I know we went overtime a little bit today, but we had a lot of great content, and want to give a shout out to Cam. It was fun watching you go through all the ways to simplify work with AppSheet. So if you do have questions in the chat, I will be sure to answer those. I got my timer going for about 4 more minutes, but I have some questions here as well. So the first one is, which course should I start with? I always recommend starting with AppSheet in the fast lane. This course is going to get you like a quick win. So if you're wanting to learn and get up to speed on how to build on AppSheet in the fast lane takes you from 0 to 60 really fast. You're going to learn how to build a vehicle inspection app, but the concepts translate to whatever type of app you're building, kind of teaching you those best practices on building an AppSheet. If you want to get a real deep dive, then it's going to be that AppSheet Essentials Bootcamp, which is going to take you through the full course of how to build an app and design a database all the way to deploying it to users. And so that course is really great for kind of getting the full picture of what it's like to build an AppSheet app. All right. And then which courses come with an app template? Let me scroll to my notes and see which ones are coming with an app template for you guys. All right, so the courses that are going to be coming with an app template is going to be AppSheet Essentials. That's the bootcamp I just mentioned. Logic and Expressions will have a template. Advanced Logic and Expressions will also have a template, and AppSheet in the fast lane. So those 4 courses right now will have templates, and also the automations course has a template as well. So if you want to get like an advanced app template that our developers have built, these courses are the ones to kind of get started on as you start your pro subscription with us. All right. Let's see what's our
Can I
next
say something
question.
real quick?
Yes, go for it, Cam.
Yeah, so you like did the total value of like $1,174.
Right.
And you're thinking, wow, $40 a month. It would take me how many months is that worth of value? Like you
I have
could,
not
I
done
think
that
that's like
calculation.
2.5 years worth of subscribing. But one thing to keep in mind is every single month we're coming out with new and more content.
Right.
And so that you might say, oh, in 2.5 years of subscribing, I'll get to the point where I've equaled if I just bought it up front.
Right.
But then you're not keeping in mind you're going to have 30 more courses by the end of 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And so it's like that number is growing as you contribute more money monthly. And so
Right.
it's just really cool.
Yeah.
It's like you're increasing the value each month.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is basically the value of 6 courses. So we used to charge one price for each course, and that's kind of where that total value is coming from. And now we have the $39 subscription. So yeah, you're definitely getting the value of that $39 a month in each of these courses. And each of these courses, we're building you a custom app template and then teaching you how to build it. So if you're wondering, is this course valuable enough for the $39 a month? We would definitely say yes, just because this type of training, as Deanna's mentioned before, isn't really available anywhere else. These courses are designed to help you be able to generalize that skill, not just to be able to Google something really quick. Although they will help you in your Google searches, as we've talked about before on our special events, because as you're learning more information, you're going to learn how to search better and to find the concepts that you're actually looking to build into your apps. And it's like we say all the time, you don't know what you don't know. And once you do know, then you're able to search for it and kind of refine your search even better and find the valuable information that you're actually looking for. Sweet. Uh, Great feedback, Cam. All right. So another question that comes up is, will you be able to build your own app after taking these courses? Of course, that's what these courses are designed for. All right. And then who can you contact for more information? I would direct you to sign up for the Tech Talk, which is in the description below. If you have these slides, you can also click these buttons here. You can click subscribe to navigate to our professional subscription, or you can click schedule a call to navigate to sign up for a call with Kale. All right. And with that, I want to thank everyone for watching. Make sure to leave a comment below if you have other questions or ideas for us. And also subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this content. And want to give another shout out to Cam. Thank you for joining us today and teaching us how to simplify work with AppSheet. It was great.
For sure.
Um,
Thanks for having me.
yeah. All right. And then be sure to check out these other tutorials where we go in depth on Auto Repair Shop inventory app, as well as the full build path of the punch list app, which is the app that Cam was demoing a few parts of today. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you around.